Welcome to Friday Heavy, your guide, once again, to the world of aggressive and abrasive and music that is loud, feels loud, and you feel loud while listening to it. Brought to you by the folks behind Toondag. I am Cliff.
And I'm Kyle. Are you trying to say we got that loud?
Oh, yeah.
Friday Heavy, we got that loud.
There was a TikTok where there was a recent very small fire at the Masquerade in Atlanta. Did you see this?
I did not.
Okay, and somebody's doing a fake news report, and they ask one of the officials, it sounds like there was a fire inside, can you confirm? And they said, listen, we're still investigating, we can't tell you anything.
Excuse me, sir, can you comment on what happened with the fire?
It's still under investigation. We'll get back with you later.
At the very least, was it because someone was smoking Reggie?
Thank you to my buddy Josh for sending that to me.
It's just a human person off the street borrowing Brent Hines's Halloween cop costume that he probably legitimately stole from the trunk of an APD car.
Absolutely. Plus, it's a funny joke because you'd be hard-pressed finding Reggie anyway, so go ahead.
Not in this city.
That's right.
Not since the very early aughts we heard. That little piece of discourse aside that I really do hope we leave in and don't edit out. Friday Heavy. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. We always love new friends in the world of heavy music. If you're in this pit with us, here's the premise. Each episode we cover three things. First, one brand new release in the world of heavy music, which we love and appreciate and have dedicated our lives to at the Dark Altar. One brand new release and why we think it'll be worth a spin. Secondly, one playlist that we've curated to explore a usually related, sometimes not, heavy subgenre or artist or scene. And thirdly, and most importantly by far, one organization doing critical, culture-impacting work in their community, because that's what punk rock is all about. Let's get into it. Cliff, what new release are we talking about today?
Yes. So today we're going to talk about Wake and their new release, Thought Form Descent.
Which to me just sounds like the magnet words that you put on your fridge, and they just got three together, and they're like, yeah, that's it. That's the one. But no disrespect, because that's a sick name, and the album artwork is sick, and it all works.
I actually love that. The abrasive word collection that you could put on your fridge, that'd be great.
They're all in black metal logo font, so they're very hard to read.
No use. This is great. This is a great idea. This is my new retirement plan. So, in the words of Botch, today's episode features some of our, quote, great friends, or friends in the Great White North. So we're going to talk about a band from Canada, because we are losing the country wars here in America, so the only thing we have left to do is loosely make fun of Canada when it comes up. So, out today on Metal Blade is Thought Form Descent from Wake, stylized all capital letters, W-A-K-E. They hail...
Wake!
But I can't say the band name without feeling like I'm in a Trash Talk song, though.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So Wake hails from Calgary, Alberta, and has been cranking out, honestly, like a heck of a lot of grindcore since 2011, actually. And what's cool about this band is...
filling the dead in the dirt-shaped hole in your heart.
We will forever stand that band as hard as we possibly can.
Yeah, because they fucking rule.
Hell yeah.
R.I.P. Dead in the Dirt.
Oh, man. So, but Wake's style sort of shifted in 2020. That year, they released a full-length and an EP in the same year. The full-length was called Devouring Rain, and that dropped first, and it kind of signaled a new shift in the direction of the more kind of like atmospheric blackened sludge that is a phrase that might not have meant something particular 10 or 15 years ago and now very much does for heavy music fans. That's going to bring a sound to your brain pretty quickly. And then the Confluence EP that they released quickly after that had even more of that kind of post-metal lean. You started to feel a little bit more of the like Cult of Luna, Isis, Sanit type stuff, and it's awesome. So the two singles that they've dropped off of Thought Form Descent indicate that course out from grind towards fuller sounding progressive death metal and all that stuff is well on its way. And just to throw out some shape to this band, especially if you're not as familiar, like you're about to hear singles that indicate an album that's probably going to touch on anything from like, imagine I'm making like a constellation now, right? Of like Gorguts, Ulcerate, Artificial Brain, Isis, Buried Inside, Death Heaven. Kind of all those big touch points of like bands that started pushing on a weird angle and made it work. So the first single we want to hit is Infinite Inward, and we'll jump about 30 seconds into it so you can get an idea of the buildup. then next up is another single that they released called Swallow the Light. And frankly, you could convince me this was an intronaut song if I couldn't be looking at the album art or the artist. And that, for me, is a very positive thing. I mean that very well.
So if you dig that, check out Thought Form Descent. Again, out today on Metal Blade. Go listen to it however you want, and then send this band your money through shows, through merch, or through a direct donation. I was not hip to this band at all prior to you throwing them in the DMs, and I personally can't wait to go see this band live. I would put them in the Conjurer slot, where it was a band I'd not heard of. You sent me the record, and I was like, oh shit, this is a thing that I want to see how they pull it off live. So kudos to you, Wake. Rip a new record. We're very excited to see where it goes from here.
And speaking of, real quick, I know we covered Candy in a recent episode, and they're playing tonight at 529 in Atlanta, and that is another band that I think we both pretty quickly went, let's see this live. Let's see them do this live, because I want to see that chaos in person.
I was so looking forward to that show, and still have a faint line COVID positive after 2 years of outrunning it. So I hope they rip. But they're coming back with Vane in a couple of months. So we're very excited to check Candy out.
Thank you, Kyle, for being a decent human being and not taking your positive COVID bullshit to a show in an enclosed space with a bunch of unmasked people.
Doesn't require a thanks. Just fuck anybody who would even consider doing that. That is insane. I hope you get kicked out of every Applebee's forever.
Oh, the analogy of getting kicked out of Applebee's will never not make me laugh when I'm looking at your face when I hear it. Okay, so I tipped you off to this band, it sounds like. What direction did you take with the playlist this time around?
I'll be honest, this is the farthest outside of my heavy comfort zone that we've gone so far. No, like for the first 10 episodes, we've stayed pretty directly in the middle of the Venn diagram. So it wasn't something that like grabbed right at me right away. Infinite N-word, at least. Swallow the Light, I was like, okay, this is tight. I'm into this. I think it was mostly because it was very hard to pin down genre-wise for me. What are they going for? And it's for all the reasons that you said in the intro, which is it's a great thing. It's very exciting. So after a few listens, what jumped out to me was the crispness of the sound. So really all I did was use, wow, this sounds good as a filter, which as we know is sometimes more of an exception than a rule in heavy music. It's very hard to record and produce and mix and master heavy music very well. There's a lot of ways that it could go wrong. But using, wow, this sounds good as a filter, I pulled some cited inspiration, some bands from the list that you mentioned earlier, some touch points that you and I both think they evoke beyond that, a little post this, a little black that, and voila, Knoll is in there. I think Knoll is a band that we're also very excited about, if for no other reason than they have the sickest merch right now. I've not put an Archspire song in anything. Also, Anal Nakroth, or what it is, Dragon's Breath, Something's Breath, Snake's Breath. Anal Nakroth, Irish for Snake's Breath. That was a fun one to look up. And then a handful of Just for Cliff, Winks, The City and the Sea from Aeolian by Ocean, a shared heavy music record that we both loved for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of old Isis, little 3 Inches of Blood, some Black Dahlia Murder, R.I.P. Trevor, and then some newer BT Bam, which I think is still the high watermark for production quality in terms of recorded heavy music. So a little bit all over the place, but all of it sounds really crisp. And I think this is one of the best opportunities to like not think about genre or energy so much as focusing on, wow, this sounds really good. I want to explore this artist on some more like technical dynamic merits. I also want to point out that we're 11 playlists in and we've almost entirely avoided repeating artists, certainly albums or songs. And we're really trying to avoid combinations that feel algorithmic or like repeating a lot of the same little niches over and over. We really want to serve you up different stuff every time. We're always going for that magic that comes from, well, I wouldn't have necessarily put these artists together or these subgenres together So I can't quite describe why it works as well as it does, but it really does. That's sort of the like motivation behind these playlists each episode.
I love it. And, a couple of quick little Canadian connections as well. Like, I know Canada's a massive area, right? So it's not surprising we get a lot of good music from it, but there are some really unique metal acts that come out of there. But
Totally.
so to be able to touch on not only Wake like we have today, but then 3 Inches of Blood is from Canada, Archspire is from Canada. I mean, you would probably put those on really different ends of a metal spectrum, but they, 3 Inches of Blood especially, have been around forever, just committing to bits. Like,
Yep.
So many of these bands commit to whatever their bit is so hard and then allow it to evolve. And that's a lot of what we're seeing here in Wake. So that's why I think you nailed this playlist relative to that. It really gives a sensation of like an arc of letting things develop. And then, yeah.
Very, very evolutionary acts, all very, very original bands. Like no two of these bands, I think, have an analog anywhere else. Whereas some of these in previous playlists, a lot of the stuff you're like, yep, put 5 of these on a bill and it all makes a ton of sense. All these bands are super, super different to me.
Plus, it's nice to see the Black Dahlia Murder in the playlist. R.I.P. Trevor. I tried really hard to come up with a way to there's a person worth having a dedication to and saying some words about. It's not our place. Other people have said much better words, but listen and shred some Black Dahlia Murder as much as you can. Appreciate what that band has done and what Trevor has done specifically, and what he did while he was kind of blessing us on this planet with his very passionate look into especially death metal. No one cared more about that whole scene than he did. He was a true aficionado of the whole thing. So love to see them in here as well. Yep.
Well said. Speaking of planets, this one and others, let's get into this cause.
Yeah, this one's fun. As the world competes to present each day's edition of the worst news possible, we had a bright spot in the last couple of weeks that reconnects us to our sense of wonder and humanity. There is no sarcastic but coming. We really mean that. And
no, don't hold your breath. Just feel good for a minute.
Right,
just allow yourself to feel good for one minute. Yeah.
So we saw our first images from the James Webb Space Telescope, and hopefully they are once again reminding you how cosmically infinitesimal we all are. I mean, we're not even looking at countless galaxies and stars and planets. We're looking at little dots that existed 13 billion years ago. And a lot of modern space exploration, right, has been driven by, especially over the decades, by really passionate and highly intelligent and dedicated people who really care about the raw potential that space represents, right? It's not just like when we pay billions of dollars to send people to the moon, it wind up with space pins and Tempur-Pedic mattresses. It goes to way further than that. And so even though we were really driven as a country in the US early on towards space exploration and what that produced for investment in NASA did not really thoughtfully keep up with that. And so in 1980, Carl Sagan, Lewis Friedman, and Bruce Murray founded the Planetary Society, which is a US-based nonprofit. They saw that there was a lot of public interest in space, but that interest wasn't reflected by government investment. And they kept seeing NASA's budget being cut over and over. And so, just a little tidbit, because this really isn't about him, but it's fun to place it. The current CEO of the Planetary Society nonprofit is Bill Nye, right?
Hell yeah.
The literal science guy. And so the Planetary Society as an organization, not only, this is another one of those orgs that does a really good job of doing both the advocacy and the sort of building up of the community around the idea, actually doing work, but then also, putting themselves to work to advocate. And so they definitely educate folks and they're advocating for the public through policy, but they also do their own programs that they fund. One program in particular was called Light Sail. They crowdfunded a project designed to successfully prove that sunlight alone can power a small spacecraft. And they did it. It's awesome. And actually, they had to try it multiple times because the rockets that they kept attaching it to kept failing. And it wasn't their fault. It was someone else's. But all of that's critical, or the Light Sail project is an example of something that's critical work because it sort of actively undermines the urge of the growing commercial space industry to turn everything into a profit center. It's the same story over and over again. The LightSail project helps bring down the cost of space exploration for future teams by, for instance here, proving that you can power a spacecraft through solar power instead of combustion and everything else that's being used currently. So I felt like that was such a good example of, I hate the word disruption because it normally means something so stupid, but this is a really good example of like, we advocate for good policy, we want people to care about space, but also if we need to, we'll do a project to prove to you that we can move this stuff along further than private contractors can.
Yeah, but you nailed it on the head. I think the reason that we love the Planetary Society and things like it is because it represents an ongoing opportunity to let something, in this case, space exploration, improve the lives of every human being equitably, and to do it in a really meaningful and focused way. Allowing it to turn into another like free market is not a foregone conclusion. We don't have to let capitalism run wild with this thing like we have with almost everything else. Space represents something even more significant to the oppressed. And you know, this is something that I've been very like turned on to for a long time because of my musical influences, and really from no other source other than music and artist. If that is not something that you are also hip to, I would encourage you to go down the rabbit hole reading about Afrofuturism. There's a lot of incredible writing that we'd be happy to point you to. You can go back to our Outcast or Janelle Monáe or Childish Gambino or Funkadelic episodes of Toondig to get hip on that stuff. One artist that we love and we haven't covered on Toondig is Sun Ra, who's sort of the master of space as the place and the possibilities of equitable beyond. It's really all about how the infinity of the unknown universe reaches back into historical mythology and cosmology and helps us envision a better world for all people. So if you're psyched on all that, to learn more about the Planetary Society and to support their mission, visit planetary.org. You can donate to specific programs like LightSail, which is rad, or you can just become a monthly member, which is also rad. Ultimately, though, just let those James Webb images rock your insides. In a year like 2022, when your insides may be crumbling a little bit, just remind yourself that you're at once infinitely small and you don't matter, but that's the best possible thing because you're also a cosmic part of one of the grandest scenes that we've ever witnessed. Everything together collectively matters, and that's the best thing possible.
I love it. We don't matter, but we're made of all the stuff that does.
Hell yeah.
Love it so much. Oh, I'm glad we got to talk about space and the difference that all of that stuff makes. It's really inspiring for me personally to see those images. I'm really impacted by them, but I'll also leave you with, Kyle, I ruined your day with this, but you know, if you want to see somebody really integrate these images into a visual performance, you'll have to check out the latest Coldplay. Which was a true both moment of excitement and letdown because they nailed everything about integrating these images into a giant stage show that looked really cool, but it only really worked if your phone was on mute.
It's Coldplay's like a Tesla. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful production on the outside and just kind of a horrible core product on the inside. God bless it. I mean, good. Coldplay's doing their thing. I can't fault them. They have an amazing live show. And people love their songs. It's just not for us.
Yep.
You could also think of on a not James Webb quality scale, how Sleep opens their shows by playing actual NASA recordings in the 20 minutes leading up to their deafening sets.
Oh, yeah.
Now Coldplay and Sleep are linked in your minds, and you'll probably never forgive us, but hopefully that won't be too much to bring you back to the next Friday Heavy coming your way in 2 weeks.
This has been Friday Heavy. We'll see you then. Go to toondig.com or follow us on Instagram and Twitter for links to the new release, the playlist, and the organization that we talked about today.